Hi, everybody. I need your energy. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Wonderful. So, who has ever watched My Hero Academia? Awesome. There's a lot of people that have not watched My Hero Academia, which makes this more fun. My Hero Academia is an anime that's like 3 or 4 seasons running right now. The manga's a little longer running. But the premise of the show is based in this universe where 80% of people in the universe have what's called a quirk, which would be like a superpower or a niche like kind of ability that they can use, and 20% of the world are without quirks. In that 80% of people, people go to school to learn how to become heroes in this society because some people who have powers become heroes. Other people who have powers become villains, and there's a fine balance between evil and good, and evil and hero and villain in this world. And this story is about, or the show itself starts off with a simple character by the name of Deku Izuku Midoriya, who is part of the 20% of people who does not have a quirk. Comparable to my man's All Might, who is the #1. Oh yeah, they have a ranking system for heroes in this show. So like, yeah, you can go to the next one. He is the #1 hero. That's my man All Might right there with the arms up and the hair. Right, he's the #1 hero, the #1 ranked hero, which means he saves the most lives. He has the strongest power, and honestly, everybody wants to be like him. Especially my man's in the middle, Izuku Midoriya. Go to the next slide, just to show real quick. Show my man All Might. It's fine now. Cause I am here, right? That's his catchphrase. He'd be like, I am here. He'd come in, but matter of fact, just go to the next one. Show them how my man All Might get down. You got to press the play button.
Let's try to find my cursor.
Show them how my man All Might get down. Hold up. That's your volume up.
It's there. You can hear it.
Sarah.
Oh, watching it. Watching what video can you hear?
Alright, let's play.
The volume's on.
Doesn't really matter unless you speak Japanese, which is cool, but. Alright, in this moment, the evil villains have broken into the school, and All Might is like, what? Y'all gonna break into the school? Don't worry, kids. I'll save the day, because I am the symbol of peace. Watch him pop off real quick. Oof. You didn't see him move. Boom. That's just the wind from his punches blowing everybody's back. So he's gonna punch him until he can't take it no more. Oh man, All Might don't die. Alright, I just want you to notice that All Might during this fight is in his church clothes. He got on a white shirt, dress shoes, and dress pants the whole time. Oh yeah, the t-shirt that came out now. I mean, this is in the middle of the fight, but he started off in his suit. Especially, oh my goodness. Oh, don't do it to him, All Might. and him flying to it. They feel this a town away. That's like the next city over. That's not even in the same area. Boom! He pushed him so hard.
I thought that was a different biome.
What?
A different biome.
That's in a different part of the school. I'll say that man punched him so hard that he opened up the clouds. Like, I ain't never seen somebody get punched so hard, they punched him through the clouds. Alright, but like, that's my man All Might. But this right here is my man Deku Midoriya. Right, so he is the young apprentice, the person that's trying to go to school, but he does not have any power. Okay? He does not have any quirks. But that did not stop him from trying to be a hero. That did not stop him from jumping into action, running into harm's way, almost dying, almost being murdered a bunch of different times to save people's lives. Right? I want you all to think of yourselves as Deku in this moment, right? You all have the capacity to be able to save lives, to be able to be a hero, to be able to be a great debater. So this whole module is going to be about how you too can be a great debater, because look, this is what he looks like now in the story, right? He looks kind of tough, right? He got the kicking boots, he got the outfit ready to fight. He looked like he already done kicked somebody in the face, right? That's not how he started though. Go to my man from his humble beginnings. This is his humble beginnings, right? Like, look at this man. Right? He's just going to school. He don't got no powers. His outfit is nowhere near as cool as the last fit that he was just wearing. And he just does not have a chance to fight back or have as much strength as the other kids in his class that had a stronger quirk than he does. But he never lets that stop him. He always moves forward. And one day he might be able to be a great hero. Actually, I'll just let All Might tell you. Go to the next slide. Sorry. The first like 12 seconds of that is like an intro. Okay. But you find out he don't really have powers all the time. Sometimes he turns into this weird old man without powers because he's like dying a little bit. He ran out, this is referring to Deku, he ran out into like conflict between two huge villains while like there were giant buildings falling just because he saw somebody about to get hurt. Right? His body moved before he had a chance because he's a hero. Sometimes we think we let the people around us down because we don't believe in ourselves. But sometimes, just sometimes, somebody believes in you, you too can become a hero. And not only does he become a hero, he becomes the world's greatest hero. So we're going to talk about the tips and tricks that Deku Midoriya used to become a great hero that can also help you become an amazing debater. Step number 1, have amazing confidence and be vulnerable, okay? Take critical criticism, right? You'll get critical feedback. How many of you have had a practice debate this session that did not go your way? Hands up, right? Damn, everybody? Okay, so like, yeah, we all had a practice debate that didn't go our way, and in that moment, right, it's the best opportunity for you to try this out, right? When your judge is giving you criticism, don't sulk. Don't sit down into your chair and reject the advice. Don't try to challenge the words of the authority figure, but not saying that they're right. I'm just saying you want to engage them on the question of how you can become better. How can you convey yourself better? Take criticism and internalize it, right? Don't just take criticism in one and out the other because you're upset. Actually deal with what's going on. Midoriya is a huge, vulnerable person, right? When he's first in school, this is like that first season, there's scenes like this where he's just crying about like 65% of the time. Like no cap, right? He cries a lot because when he deals with his emotions and he, deals with criticism from folks, he internalizes it and tries to make himself better. And he usually is sad at his faults. But then he'll internalize those criticisms and turn it into an ability or a strength for himself. Put that hard shell away, right? Put that shell that says that you can't listen to what your coaches say, your teammates say, your opponents say, your judges say. Put that away because that will not help you progress and move forward as a debater. You have to believe that you can do things, right? Like you have to believe that even if you fall short and you had moments where you break down and you cry horrific, and you break down and you cry and you don't have the chance to, do things that you didn't do the first time, don't break down and give up. Be confident that the next time that you'll try, things will prevail, right? And be confident in your methods and be confident in listening to criticism
and be sure in yourself that you can put it into action the next time around. Right? So like in that RFD, take those notes from that round that you had that didn't go well this session, redo that speech 3 times over. Every single time, make sure that you're adherent to the notes that your judge gave you. Because then after that 3rd time you give that speech, it'll probably be the cream of the crop. And you'll be ready to take on your next challenge, for sure. Confidence is like a large percent of the battle in debates. Most of the times, especially the people that win national tournaments, they are beating most of us on confidence, right? They feel like they're already going to win this tournament. You ever walk into a round and the person you're debating, like you feel like they feel they're going to win the debate already? Anybody ever feel like that? They walk in and like, oh, my opponent think they're going to beat me, and I feel it already. Come on, be honest, right? That confidence is 80% of the battle. If you have that presence in a space, especially in a debate round where it is a competitive setting, that confidence that you bring genuinely will change the rest of the round for you. Go to my next slide. The next thing that he does that I really like about him is he delves deep into study. Midoriya, remember, I told you, he didn't have any powers. There's a period in the show how he gets powers. He does get powers, right? Like after like the first episode, he gets powers. I could ruin it for you, but you should just go watch the show. But essentially what he does before he gets those powers, he still wanted to be a hero his whole life. So he spent almost his entire life analyzing and studying every other hero, learning about every other quirk, reading about all the top heroes, about the top villains, their histories, their weaknesses. And as he watched them continue to fight, he would constantly update. And then all you see, the mutterings that he's saying, that's him strategizing out loud, thinking about different ways that he can engage with people based off of his studies. This translates really well to debate, right? If you delve deep into books, read new literature, read new kind of argument types, read new areas of discussion or of the library that you never engaged in before. Because what that does is it opens up your purview and your perspective to a bunch of different ways of thinking about not just social issues, but also other issues that you may read about, bless you, when you're doing your research. I'll be honest, even if you are not the most skilled debater, right? Like you don't have, and when I mean skilled, I mean you don't know the jargon, you know, you may not be able to extend link terms the right way, or maybe, you know, on the line by line, that's just not your thing. But I'll be honest, if you are the smartest debater in the room, most of those things go away. Because you being an expert on your knowledge or being an expert on your content matter means that you know all the other possible angles that people can engage you because you've just been doing all of the readings necessary to make yourself a well-rounded debater. So you want to make sure that you are taking advantage of the books that you're reading, taking advantage of the study. Not just, you know, delve deep into study of debate arguments. You should delve deep into study on other types of styles of debate. You should be watching debates, right? An elim rounds, studying your opponents, figuring out, like, if you're not a util person, let's say, like, you like deontology and Kant, right? Let's say that that is your jam. But you want to figure out, hey, them util people, how do I get in their head? Watch their debates. See how they're extending arguments. See the way that they're using strategy. Because once you study those things, you can start to figure those things out a little bit more simply, and it becomes a lot easier for you to take those on when you debate those students in the future. You should watch debates on YouTube. Hi, Albert. You should watch debates on YouTube. There are tons of free rounds. There are tons of demo debates. There are tons. Can you just hit the office up and tell them that Albert is right? Thank you. There are tons of like college debates online, high school LD, high school policy. There are debates with a moderator. There are lessons online that like, you know, walk through debate rounds for you. There are rounds that they flow on the side. So if you feel like you can't flow as good as some of the, you know, really quick rounds, sometimes they flow on the screen with you. So you can kind of just listen and try to follow along. But like doing these things, learning these tactics, figuring out how these debaters function really can help you in the long run. Opening yourself up to new scholarship also provides you with an opportunity to find something that you really, really like. Maybe there's something out there that interests you so much that you just have never been able to find it. But if you continue to do some study, maybe, just maybe, will you be able to do something unique, something distinct, and be able to, you know, maybe try something new, right? Who's read something new while they've been at camp? Who's read something like they've never even tried before? Who's tried to do a new argument while they're at camp? Wonderful, right? So use these things throughout this season. Don't be scared to do this later on, too. The next thing is also kind of in the same vein, which is try new things. Let me tell you about Deku real quick. Bring it back to Midoriya. Top left corner, he gets a power. I'm not gonna tell you how he gets the power, but his power is OP, right? It's supposed to be this intergenerational strength that is passed down from hero to hero to hero that falls upon Deku. And now he's been owned with the skills, or he's been given the task of challenging and controlling and being able to dominate like fights and be the #1 hero with this super OP power. But sometimes, even when we're given certain things, for example, when you're given that weird Boji art back file that you don't know nothing about, and you go in and you hurt yourself in the process, right? You do something, you may lose a debate. For Midoriya, sometimes he tried to jump into fights where he was not ready to fight because he was not good with that power yet. And woof, were there some dangerous results. I'm gonna show you a picture later on to show how bad Deku used to get messed up, because my man used to get, I'll show you. He used to get beat up a lot. But after a while, he started to think about different ways of fighting. Different ways that made it more accessible for him. Different ways that made it easier for him to fight. So in this one, he's trying to punch. His arms are not big, as you can see. He's kind of a little guy. So you can't punch with all your might with little arms. You shatter your bones. So he figured out, what if I just kick you in the face, right? Instead of punching you. And so he started to develop his kicking, right? The point of all this is to say, sometimes when we try things, when we try strategies and debates in life, it may not work. It may not work, right? It's okay. But you should be willing to take tons of argumentative risks, tons of literature risks, tons of like style risks. If you have not done tricks, try a trick. If you've never done a K, run the K. If you don't like picks, throw a pick in there. Try your best to do all kinds of new things. And I'll give you a couple of reasons why it's really awesome to try new things. First, if you try new things, like I said before, maybe, just maybe, you might find the thing that you really, really like. You might find the skill that fancies you the most and probably compliments you as a debater. How do you know you're not a K debater until you try? How do you know that you don't like politics this as until you cut one, right? My thing is, you need to be able to use all of these elements and all of these things to be able to effectively find out what you want. Another reason to try new things is, let's say I do run YouTube, but I always lose to critiques. Anybody have that argument that you just like continuously lose to? Anybody? It's like a type of argument that you just, come on, give me hands. I know I'm not the only one. That's just, you just keep like, I keep taking a kick in the face to this argument, right? Oh, we just perfect debaters in this room. Okay, I believe you, right? But like, yeah, everybody just loses to a type of argument every once in a while, right? But how do you beat that argument? Here's a question, somebody tell me, if you lose an argument, the same type of argument, over and over again, you keep losing to it, how do you beat it? How do you figure it out? Yeah.
Change up your strategy.
Change up the strategy. Okay. Yeah, changing up the strategy. What if every time you change your strategy, you keep losing to the same position?
I don't know.
What should you do about that position? One and then in the back.
Try just thinking about it from their perspective. So maybe try running that strategy around.
I agree. Trying to run that strategy in the round, I agree. Know what you're gonna say? I agree. If there's a position that like you just keep losing to, run it. Read about it. Go read their books, right? If you keep losing to like capitalism, go read some Karl Marx, right? Go delve into the literature. And then in debates, run it. Run their arguments. Run the different type of literature, right? Because here it's double advantageous, right? It's two benefits to it. First, if I'm reading about it and I find the holes when I'm running it, because nobody knows what's wrong with your case more than you do, right? Like you know what's wrong with your ass when you write them, right? You know the holes in your ass when you write them. So when you start to write these positions, you'll figure out, that didn't make sense. Like there's something wrong here. So you can figure out ways to think about it. The second reason why it's really advantageous to run their arguments is because you have to start thinking about it from their side, strategy-wise though, strategy-wise, right? You have to start thinking about how can I maneuver with this K? How can I weigh these impacts? How can I, extend this nib, whatever a priori thing so I can win next round, right? But how can I do these things in effective ways and figuring out how to run them? And so once you figure out how to run these strategies effectively, then you can start to figure out how they run those strategies effectively against you, right? So once you start to figure out how they run it effectively against you, you can start to engage them on that level of their argument, on the level of their scholarship, on the level of things that they're saying. Does that make sense? I also think that you should try your best to ponder on arguments as well. I don't mean like run them in debates if you don't have the chance. Some of you don't travel as much, but that doesn't mean that you should not take the opportunity to be thinking about these arguments and reading about these arguments and trying to figure out ways to do different things. The thing that all top debaters do, at least in my understanding, is that they have engaged or tried a different type of argument or different styles of argument, so much so that they at least understand the ways that all arguments are run. So like, you know, the people in the finals of the TOC, they all know how to run disads, how to run counterplans, how to run critiques, how to go for the framework, right? How to go for just the value criteria, right? How to go for the value, right? They know these kind of elements. And this makes a major difference. It makes a huge difference. If I understand, in order for you to win this disad, I know for a fact that you have to win uniqueness. So if I win uniqueness in this debate, I might be able to win, right? I could just put my eggs in this marble and get my offense when I won the uniqueness debate, right? So I can understand that so that you can kind of counteract it and think with them and be able to strategically predict their next moves, right? This makes like a major difference in just not only in your pre-round coaching and your pre-round strategy, but also your strategy in debates. Go to the next slide. This one is controversial. Be honest.
I'm gonna wait till the thing.
It's controversial. Okay? Take a bunch of L's. Take as many L's as you can. Right? Lose debates. I'm not saying go out there and just throw rounds, right? If you take that as like, all right, Devane said, I'm about to go out there and just mess it up. That's not what I'm saying. Not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying you will lose rounds. All of you. Like, there's not one of you that will like go through the rest of the season unscathed. And if you do, my apologies for disrespecting your gangster. But but for the most part, most of y'all will take at least one loss this season, right? I suggest that don't. Let me talk about Deku for a second, and then I get back to debate. Remember when I talked about how many times he done got beat up? Let me talk about my man's right here. First of all, look at him. He done broke his legs. His arm is shattered. I don't even know what's going on over here. He looked like he hiding. That's after he got beat up by like a large machine and tried to fight with powers that he didn't know how to use yet and shattered his whole arm. This one, you can't really tell because you're kind of far back, but if y'all look closely, this man has like quadruple broken his finger. Literally, like he broke his hand trying to fight. And then while his hand was broken, he still wanted to fight. He was like, I'm not about to give up. So he took his broken finger and like flicked it and was like flicking like punches with like, he was like using that as like a punch. So he'll like flick it, boom, hit you in the face, right? Then after a while, it wasn't even working. He couldn't even like flick you because it was that broken. And so he put it in his mouth. He was like, broke it with his finger. And still hit him, right? Like it was really impressive. I'm not gonna lie, like he earned whatever he got in this episode, but he did break like almost all of his fingers. And look, both of his arms are broken. He broke every finger on his right hand, and his left arm from here down is like completely shattered. There's even a portion of the show where the doctor was like, "Hey man, like if you break your arms anymore, you're done. Like you can't break your arms anymore. You're too fragile. You've broken your arms like 15 times. Every time I keep fixing them and like I just can't fix them anymore. Stop breaking your arms." Like that's how often this dude broke his arms. There was one time where he like, I think it was this time. Nah, there was another time where he like shattered both his arms and his leg.
Oh, when they fought Muscular.
Yeah, when they fought Muscular, like but his adrenaline was so pumped that he didn't feel that he had broke his arms. So he was still fighting. And so like you see him running like this, like he was running, but his arms were completely shattered. Like he could not fight, but he was like still trying to fight. It's kind of hilarious, low key. Like 'cause, he knew he couldn't fight no more. We all knew. Everybody watching the show knew, but he still wanted to fight. But this is Deku, right? Deku took L's, man. Like from the very first episode of the show, Deku took tons of L's. From like not being able to get to school because he didn't have a quirk, to getting beat up by larger villains because he didn't have a power, to having a power that he couldn't use and getting smacked on by his classmates, to getting beat up by villains. And yet, after every single loss, he would bounce back, write in his little notebook, mutter about his strategy, and then he would continue to do his thing. He will continue to do his thing. So, how does it translate to debate? You will lose debates. Don't worry about it. It's cool. In those losses, you should be vulnerable. You should take feedback. You should take criticism. And take advantage of those losses. Write out every word of the RFD. After the RFD, get your judge's email information. Get their contact information. You'll be surprised how often judges want to work with you, because it's advantage for both of us. If I help you, that means that I don't have to judge debates where I feel like one side is better than the other. So then that way it's a more equal debate space, and then I can judge better debates. The quality of debates continues. So it is in my best interest to help you as a judge. So if that is the case for most judges, when you go to these tournaments and you take these L's, write down the RFD. I've emailed so many judges in my career. When I got to college, I would Facebook message judges to say, hey, like, you dropped me round 6 and I disagree with your decision. Can you please walk me through or tell me or help me convey what I was trying to say to you better? Right? And in that, not only did she tell me ways that I can answer arguments, we actually discussed future strategies that influence the rest of the season of debate for me. Right? So like through those conversations with your judges, you can find out, because the judge knows you better. Like the judge knows how you argue. Right? They're the one that is completely subjective and will listen to you debate every single time. And they will tell you, like, hey, these are the things that didn't work for me. And you need to take that into consideration, because sometimes the adjudicator knows a lot better than we do about what is more persuasive in debates. So being upfront with your adjudicators and asking questions like, hey, I need help. Also, a lot of you have been doing this while you're at camp, but I know so many of you don't do this when you leave camp. I'm recommending do rebuttal redos. I don't know if any of you have been doing rebuttal redos here. Who's done at least one redo since they've been here? Excellent. Who thinks they've gotten better from redos? Oh, wait, so put the hand down. Why don't put your hands down? Redos will make you better. I can guarantee it, because it tells you, hey, you were in the debate round. You were thinking on your own. This is the strategy that you came up with by yourself. Now, all right, my strategy was okay, and I lost, and I won. But let me figure it out to do it better next time. I can better execute it for the future. Right? Redos really, really genuinely help you, because it takes into account your losses, your wins, and what actually happened in the debate, and where you are and your mindset in round. So you can think through, how did you process this in the debate, and what and how should I be thinking differently to make arguments for the future? Right? So you need to be making sure that you're doing the processing that's necessary in those debates, in those losses, in those rebuttal redos. And the reason I said none of you will do it during the season is because, like, any kid that I've ever had come here, they're like, yeah, man, rebuttal redos are so helpful in the summer. Oh my God, I got better. And then you get to school and you're like, all right, you want to do some redos? And they're like, you know, I left my flows at home, man, so I can't even do, that's the comment. I left my flows at home, so I can't do redos. Don't make excuses. Jump in, do those redos. They're going to help you get better. They're going to help you take those losses, and they're going to help you really challenge that. Also, if you are the person emailing your judges, it has like a double effect. First, it makes sure that you don't have to worry about this judge not having a formal understanding of you or knowing you as a debater. And so now this is someone you can prep as your, prep for the season, because now you have a rapport with this judge, because they know, oh, this is how they debate. I know how they sound. I know their arguments. Right? So then that way you can engage in front of them and just get better every time. And that makes you better, because every time if you come different and better every time, you get more student points, right? You'll usually get the win, because they're like, oh, I remember this kid from last time. They hit me up and asked me for questions, and they're really implementing what I told them to do. I think this really conveys me. This really persuades me on how to do it. And honestly, if you do that, if you are the one emailing your judges, you'll be the only one. No one does it. No one emails their judges. Right? No one gets in contact with people after debates. Or very rarely. Who's ever emailed a judge? 3 or 4 people, right? You'll be the only ones doing it. And the judges will have a rapport with you. And it'll be better for you in the future. highly recommend emailing your judges after debates because it's more helpful. Dang, man, he took mad. I feel bad for him, yo. He broke his arm. Yeah, go to the next slide. You know how you can stop breaking your arm so much? If you go get you someone like a Gran Torino. Gran Torino is a part of the show where you have each hero, because you go to school. The show is about the school that the young heroes go to become a hero, right? And it's all about the school. In your after your first semester, basically, or after your first major exam, you work with an intern, like your intern was like a major hero. And so he ends up working with this really short, old dude named Gran Torino, like the dude in the cape. He's really short, old, kind of grumpy, and he only telling him to heat up his fish sticks in the microwave, and they never talked about powers, but man, can Gran Torino go. Gran Torino, man, go to the next one. Look. Boom. Gran Torino may be old, but he'll put your face in the dirt. All right, this guy is, man, go, just show him the video. Show him the video. See, look at this old man, man. He's like, yo, man, I'm full of youth. You know who I am? I'm Deku Midoriya. So you got 3 minutes. He said, yeah, come on, get it in. 3 minutes. Oh. So cut that out. You're using the powers on me, man. Tricks don't work. Old school. He's not him on the ground. It's like he really abusing this man. And he's taught him stuff.
Ooh.
You can dodge this? Yeah, man. In Gran Torino, 6-year-old little boy, something down. 3 minutes. He had to embarrass him.
That was like the first 3 minutes ever.
Huh?
Anime time is bad.
You said anime time? Yeah, it was not real 3 minutes.
And they had sometimes slow motion.
So you got a little bit on him. Yeah, a little bit on him, okay. And then he instantly, one thing I want you to notice, after Deku took the L, he instantly, go back to the last slide. Once he took the L, he instantly started to think about it. That's what I want to talk about. Debating older coaches. You should practice with someone who's much older than you. Yes.
But what if our school is so bad that it doesn't have a coach?
There are older people, like your judges, that can talk to you. There are older people on the staff that you can work with, and there are a bunch of coaching services that offer older coaches that you can work with as well. There are regional and local, if you have a local high school that you can partner up with and work with, if you're not the only high school in your city.
No, like the other local high school is not in my city, and second of all, literally everyone there is addicted to some form of drugs.
What was the coach?
I don't even think there's a debate program, because they're all on drugs.
Oh, so then what do you mean the local program near your city? I'm saying find a local debate program near you. Is there a debate program anywhere near you?
Not that's good.
Well, I'm not saying that's good. I'm not worried about whether or not it's good. Because how can you gauge if a coach is good?
But it's young.
A lot of times coaches that may be old, so we may think that Wait, coaches may be old, so we'll oftentimes think like this old person can't debate me, don't know what they're talking about, is like has a terrible team, they won't be able to help me, like they're not really good at what they do. You're completely wrong.
No, that's not the problem. This basically the newest debate program is Young Genius.
It's not bad.
What's Young Genius mean?
Young Genius is literally like, I think I've done that a couple times and it's helped very little.
Oh, it's like a different program?
Yeah.
All right, well, we can talk later about how to find local debate programs near you, but this is in context of like having a debate program near your school, around you. Who has a coach? Whose coach is like an old person? Anybody have like an older coach? Whose coach is like older than 25? Older than 30? All right, so like, I'm talking to y'all. My people who coaches are like older than 30, debate them. My coach is older than 25, debate them. My coach is older than 22, debate them. Right? Debate all the old people you can. For my people who don't have a coach, who have a school in their area that they're cool with, work with their coach. If you have judges here, or if you have people here that you make a connection with that will coach you throughout the season, debate them. The VBI squads, debate the instructors like Nils and Christian and Pacey. Right? Debate old people. Because there's reasons why. There's reasons why debating old people is good. It's also really fun because, like, I ain't gonna lie, you're gonna be like Deku. You're gonna be like, old person, look at this new youth. And you're gonna get smacked, right? Every single time, you're gonna get beat. Like, I can almost guarantee it. Like, every time you debate your coaches, you'll lose. And the reason why is that they bring a different perspective to debate that you don't have because they have years of wisdom. I say your older coaches, that even though their views on debate may be warped, maybe based and stuck in 1985, like they still will come with you with a different perspective on how debate functions, how your arguments function. Honestly, your coaches will be able to point to the holes in your cases because they'll be thinking about your case from a different perspective, right? So like once you get to debate against that older person, they will not only tell you what's wrong with your case, not only will they impart different perspective on you, but you'll also train against them and have the opportunity to think with somebody who doesn't think like your peers, right? Because oftentimes we get stuck debating to people who are our age, who go to camp with us, who are our lab mates, etc. And that's cool, it's good competition. But to make us better and think about debate differently, introducing a different perspective that is not necessarily available in the regular season or on the circuit really, really helps us progress forward and get better at the things that we do. Also, think about it. The strategy that Midoriya used, right, when like he was getting beat, he's under the couch, and instead he tries to think of a different strategy like going above, going to like bouncing off the ground and going to the roof and using the roof as a projector and try to hit Gran Torino and making contact with him, right? Like he thinks about that as the battle progresses because he recognizes that Gran Torino, unlike his peers, moves and fights differently. Same thing with you in debate. You'll understand that your coach moves, debates differently. They may debate really, really slow, but being slow will be beating you. You're like, how did you make 4 arguments and sound so wonderful and beat me so bad, right? And that way you get an opportunity to think about debate from a different perspective and introduce those kind of things when you debate. So then the judges think, oh my God, this kid is making strategies and doing things that a veteran coach would do, right? This kid is thinking the way I'm thinking about debates because your coaches are your judges too. So you get to get in the mind of how your judges will see your arguments as well. So that perspective is wisdom. It's the person on the other side of the room. It's really helpful for you to be able to, get and acquire those skills to engage folks. You can go to the next slide. This is my final note, which is learn to work well with the others around you. This is Class 1A. Class 1A, as you can see. That is Deku Midoriya's class at the school. Anybody a basketball fan? Anybody know who LeBron James is? Yeah? Anybody know who Dwayne Wade is?
I know who Dennis Rodman is.
I don't care about that. Did anybody know who Darko Miller? Anyway, 2003, the NBA draft is regarded as the most historic NBA draft in history because in that draft, there were multiple, people who will be called legends drafted. LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, right? Big names in basketball. This is the equivalent to that class, right? This class is full of heroes who will be the top of the heroes for years to come. Like, you got Midoriya, who, like, we talked about his L's and stuff, like, he's okay. But he was, like, not the toughest hero in his class, even though he did a bunch of tough things. Like, matter of fact, play the next clip. Let me show you. This is 3 of Class 1A's top heroes. This is Deku Midoriya, Todoroki, and Ida. They're fighting this, like, they're fighting this villain who is known to be the anti-hero villain of the world. He actually he's probably the most renowned villain, and he thinks that hero logic is wrong. So he kills heroes. Like, that's what he does. His power is like, if he like licks your blood, if he gets like a taste of your blood, depending on your blood type, you're paralyzed for a certain amount of time. So if you have like type A blood, you're paralyzed for like 4 minutes, 9 minutes. If you have like O positive, you like 45 seconds or something like that. But like, but he paralyzes you by tasting your blood. So it's 3 teenagers. These are teenagers, okay? These are like high school kids fighting an anti-hero killer who has killed hundreds of heroes. Like, he kills so many grown adult heroes. Like, a lot of adult heroes. And he's fighting these 3 kids. Now you can press play. Right, climbing up that O2 break. You get pulled up to hit the top.
Characters always say that before they do it.
Because it's weird. God! Remember, he killed multiple adult heroes. He just got beat by like 3 teenagers. That's why this hero class is ridiculously OP. Like, Class 1A is super OP. But the point of this is all to say, work with the people around you. If you spar debate with your teammates, sparring debate with your teammates really will help you. Sparring debates with your opponents really will help you. Having online sessions where you're arguing and thinking about arguments, talking about literature with your people around you will genuinely help you. Some of the best ideas that I've come up with have been ideas that I have bounced off of people around me to include their ideas into my project, right? So working with others around you. Also, sharing files. The first thing that you can do from camp that'll be helpful for your entire team. Anybody have teammates that are not at camp? Hands up if you have a teammate not at camp. The first thing that you can do to work with others is take the notes that you've taken, make a Google Drive folder, and share your entire team. Right? Because the knowledge that they have not gained, that you have gained over these past 3 weeks, you can impart on them so that they can feel like they have not missed out on the camp experience. If anything, they have an opportunity to get the skills that they did not come to camp for. Right? So this is a really good first step at getting your teammates to at least feel like they're being caught up. Because, the season starts in about another month from now? That means they have another month where the topic comes out in about 7 or 8 days. That means they have 7 days to learn any of the concepts that you learned here or different literature that you learned through the modules. And then after that, they can use the other skills to build their cases, to get ready for the season, right? To set up that disad, to make that good strategy. Hopefully, or hopefully, like, the Japan topic gets picked. But regardless, like, you can use these strategies in the long run and be able to engage them on their arguments or their literature and help your teammates get better in the long run. This also works for your opponents. If you work with your opponents, like, not everybody is really at odds with the people they debate. Sometimes we make friends with the people that we debate. Those friends will be genuinely helpful for you to become better as a debater in the future because first, they have a vested interest in beating you because they're against you. They don't go to your school. So they want to beat you, but at the same time, they can come with a different amount of knowledge, understanding, prep, etc. And then you can have spar debates and then work from there. This is also really, really important at tournaments. I cannot stress how important it is to make relationships with individuals and other folks at tournaments. Because, let's say, I debate somebody round 2, my buddy's debating them round 4, we debated them on the same side, but they have no idea what their AF is, and I debated them and I have their AF. Now my buddy has the opportunity to be like, hey, you have this person's AF, man, can you tell me how they debate? You know, can you tell me what their arguments are like before I go in there so I can know, how I should be preparing? And then I can impart on them that knowledge, right? I can tell them exactly how that person debates. So make those relationships, work with others, right? What I would recommend you all do, anybody do a round report after debates? Anybody type up a round report? This is the 1AC, here's the negative arguments that got run, here's what the 2NR was, here's what I went for in the 2AR, here's what the judge said, here was the decision. Recommend you all do that after all of your debates, and then share it in a Google Doc with your teammates. So then that way you can think, oh, here's what the strategy was, oh, this is what they did in the NR, man, I gotta write a block to that, right? Share it with your friends. Let's say you have like 5 other buddies that are going to this tournament, start a Google Drive and do that with your buddies. Right, and they can share their round reports so that you can keep each other updated. Like, oh snap! Like, man, that new school over there is running this new settler colonialism. Okay, man, what am I going to do? I got to write a block, right? So like, if somebody hit it round 1, you read about it. Like, I got time to get myself together. So by round 3, you're not worried about that settler colonialism anymore. Yes.
Why do anime characters always say their moves before they actually do them? That's like saying, I will rebut these cards in the 2NR, guys.
Well, anime is not real life. And it's usually meant to dramatize. And you do signposts. You say, now that this at.
No,
right?
but like,
and on case, right?
That's like yelling it during your opponent's.
No, it's not. Right before you hit, right before I make an argument, now that this at. You signpost too. You're not better than Deku. You're just like him, man. Don't try to look down upon Deku and All Might and the rest of the game. We're just as good as everybody else. We're just as strong. Maybe one day we can be a hero. You can be a hero too.
I will run.
And maybe one day, just maybe one day, you can go from being 0 to being a hero. And that's all I got for you today. Go to left.